Welcome to the PETA Podcast. Today we're joined by Matilda and Jo from Parker Meggitt. They're a customer of PETA. We are a charity, as you know, and we support community. So today's really about how we have these experts that work with us to develop and continue the great learning journeys in engineering predominantly today. So let's start with introductions, if that's okay, and then we'll hear about your career, shall we?
I'm Matilda Tucker. I was an engineering apprentice. I am now a test engineering / manufacturing engineer at Parker Meggitt.
So what is that then? Tell us what that is.
It's a combination. It's a support role to production. So it's half split between production support, so looking at streamlining the process, removing waste such as travel time, or looking at potential failures and trying to remove them from the process. And then the test engineering side of things is the test equipment. So how is the product tested to ensure it's safe? Can it be automated? How can we make it faster?
And Jo?
Well, I'm Joanna Richoux. I'm a team leader at Parker Meggitt, and I get the opportunity to teach some of the young apprentices that come through the business, which is great.
Amazing.
Yeah, I work on a new product integration, so they learn like from the beginning all the way through to the end of a product.
So you're an engineer as well?
Of a sort, yes. I've not gone through the normal standard sort of processes for becoming an engineer. I'm sort of self-taught through years of being in the industry.
Okay, amazing. So lots of routes into engineering.
There are, yeah. I stumbled into it when I was 17 years old and just had a passion for it and just run with it.
Amazing. So should we we'll come back to that, I think, 'cause that's really interesting. So let's hear a bit about you, because we've met a few times at award ceremonies and all sorts of things. So you are a regular feature. Let's start. Why engineering?
I've always liked to work with my hands, and my uncle's an engineer, and I'm very similar to him. And he's always suggested to go into engineering because I've got a very logical mind. I like taking things apart and trying to figure out how they go back together. So he's always suggested it for me, and I decided to eventually just go into the industry.
And how was your apprenticeship? So that was 4 years, the apprenticeship you go through?
Yes, 3.5 to 4 years. It was really good. I did a foundation year and then 2 years BTEC, and then the last sort of half year was going through the EPA.
And all of that was in the same organisation
Yes.
that you're with now. So you've been promoted or progressed following that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what were the highlights then? What do you think got you after your apprenticeship into that next role?
Your hard work is what got her into it.
Yeah, so partly it was knowing the right people as well, because the project that I got put on that led me into the team that I am in, I was chosen for because I had worked on the product previously. So I had the product knowledge, but I also had the work ethic and the attention to detail, which is why they chose me for the project, which then led into the...
That's really interesting. So is the project you were working on, was that part of your apprenticeship, or was it?
That was totally separate. It was it was a project that the company were doing separate.
So did you apply for that, or you got chosen to be?
I got chosen. There were a handful of people across the site that were up for sort of to be decided between. Jo was one of them, but Jo's too busy, so they chose me.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So that having that group of people on a special project then moved the business forward and got you into a different team.
Yeah. It definitely helped in that I had both Jo and the manager I'm under currently, who's also the project manager, sort of fighting my corner to get me into the new role that I'm in.
Amazing. So, Jo, you've been supporting then Matilda for
4 years.
4 years now.
Sorry to see her go.
Yeah, so she's leaving your team, going to
My team, gone to a new team.
So tell us about the mentoring, and then obviously we'll hear from you about how that's supported. Because
Well, I mean, Matilda did make it easy to mentor her because she has got a really good work ethic. But just for me, having that like first initial sort of connection with them in their career basically is really rewarding, because their first sort of views of work is what I sort of interpret for them, and how easy or hard they find it is a reflection on myself as well. So
and how do you make time to mentor? Because you've got a day job as well. So that's
it is a sort of, you have to do fight for them to have your attention, but you just have to make it work. And if you don't, then they'll fall behind and then they won't enjoy it. So
and how do you get supported as a mentor from the business? How do you make time?
well, do I make time? Yeah, it's just forcing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I do have a really good support team. There is quite a few of us, but I've got a core sort of 7 permanent staff, and I've got about 8 contractors. But the permanent staff do help with helping the apprentices to get where they need to be.
So it's a whole
Yes.
ecosystem of support.
It is.
And did you feel like that in your apprenticeship?
Definitely. I remember in the first sort of few weeks, Jo was incredibly busy, and I got put with a colleague of ours who just sort of mothered me in the first few weeks.
Okay, and you need that, you think?
Definitely for the first few weeks, because everything's brand new, particularly when it's the first time you work in the industry or even in a massive business like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely scary, and you need that initial support.
Yeah, I mean, we notice here at PETA where there's really effective mentors, we see a lot more coming out of the apprentices, but also they learn faster, and actually because they can try it in the workplace and the workplace are working with them. So it's really instrumental, I think, to that apprenticeship programme.
Yeah, having a good foundation team to support it does help.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your role now then.
It's a lot more independent. The role I was in previously was very much, you get given a job, you build it, it moves on, and then you get told the next job. Whereas this is a whole project. You get told, right, this is what we need, this list of things, by the end of the month. So it's not day by day, it's a lot broader.
Longer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot broader scope, and there's a lot more independence, so I have to manage my own time, which I'm learning to do.
Okay, and so you've gone from one line manager to another, so new line manager and much more independence. How's that?
It's good. I'm lucky that the manager I'm under now is quite similar to Jo in his
Teaching methods.
teaching methods and his support, because he's very supportive of my future as well, in that he was the one who fought for the dual role where I can go between the production team and the test support team.
Right.
So he managed to get me that, and he's always happy for me to learn things and go on to new products. Even though I'm on this project, he's happy for me to go and learn electrical equipment or a different product entirely.
Great. Okay, so engineering, back to that then. So how do you find, firstly, your learning experience? Because you're probably one of very few females in that environment. How did you find that?
It was a little bit lonely at the start, because you are the only person in the class of that sort of gender, and you get along with the lads and the boys. Like, there was another lad in my class called Brandon who was from the same company. So we had that connection, but it's not quite the same. So you kind of I ended up sticking my head in a book for most of the break times. But I'm quite fortunate that at the workplace, it's a very even split.
Right.
There's a lot of women in the workplace, so I had the support there. So I didn't feel as lonely in the industry. It was mostly just in the classroom.
That's really interesting, and that's obviously some feedback for us to take on board. And did you build a rapport? Because you stay with the same cohort for the period of time. Did you build the rapport over time with them?
Sort of, yeah. I get along quite well with Brandon now. Some of the others as well. The class did split because my course I went a mechanical route and some of them went electrical, so it split in that way. Yeah.
So you've been at lots of awards. You've been successful in being shortlisted for a lot of awards. It's quite unique being a female in engineering, which is really disappointing, and we're actively encouraging more females into engineering. Is there any more you think that the world, the government could do or the sector could do to support that?
Get more into schools, get them younger.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't know that these sort of jobs even existed when I was younger. Obviously, I'm a little bit older than Matilda.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise that these jobs were around when I was younger. So getting them and letting young kids know that these opportunities are out there from an earlier age, I think is good.
And also there's lots of young people, young women who think that there's a certain path. But actually, we even know that when you're looking at chemicals in hairdressing, for example, there's a lot that has to go into that. And just because it's hair, it's suddenly treated differently, but it's still sciences. There's still things in there so it's almost like there's still quite a lot of bias. And it's how do we do that?
I agree. There's a lot of engineering is a very broad term that gets quite often concentrated down to manufacturing, but there's a lot of other engineering types out there.
I agree totally. So what's next for you? Got any plans for your next stage, or are you still learning in your role?
I'm still learning in my role. I plan to stay in this role for a fair bit because there's a lot to learn where I've gone from mostly fitting and assembly to a manufacturing support role. It's massively different in how you approach tasks, like with problem solving, and a lot more. Something I found interesting that I hadn't really considered when I was on the assembly floor is the language you use. So writing documentation, things like if you're writing a document that will be translated later, you have to consider which words you use so they don't get misinterpreted.
Right.
So there's a lot of things I'm learning that hadn't even been on my radar.
So in support, you're supporting making sure that everything's still running, everything's still on track, and at the end it's all coming out as it should be coming out, kind of. Is that a fair summary? So your role in that then is actually working alongside the production team. And so do you have to have many conversations with them? Do you find that sometimes there's pressure? So I quite often hear that you'll have a production leader who doesn't allow the time for the maintenance to take place, or it needs to be done in 2 minutes, not you'll wait for the part to come in and so on. So how do you deal with those sorts of challenges or conflicts?
It's definitely an interesting one because you just have to navigate it. It's not something you're taught. You just learn it as you go. Sort of practice, really. And you kind of build up a reputation and sort of relationships with people. And as you get to know people, you'll say, for example, a production lead who desperately needs this product out the door, you can, if you have a relationship with them, you know how to approach them. So you know, they might like you to approach it straight with the facts, or they might like you to fluff up the situation a bit.
Yeah. So that's really interesting because there's lots we talk about in engineering about the skill, and then there's, the knowledge and how you do what you need to do. But actually influencing, particularly in that sort of role, is a continuous thing, and you need to know who you're working with. It's not just
everyone's
widgets
the same.
And everyone's the same 100%. So and about mentoring, so how do you adapt your approach when you're mentoring different, because someone like Matilda will be very different to another apprentice.
They are all individual characters, and you have some that want to reach for the stars, and you have some that are just happy to just learn the basics, and you just have to adapt to their personalities and to their sort of way of learning as well.
100%. And so you're supporting the production line. Is there much changing in the production world at the moment with automation and robotics? And how do you adapt? Because what you learnt, mechanical and electrical, you're now going to have to learn even more to do with mechatronics and hydraulics and so on. So how does that work?
There's a lot of automation, particularly on the test system side of you don't want an operator to sit there for hours testing a product when you can hit a button, run it, and walk off. So there's a line of that side that I'm learning a lot on, because on shop floor, you're very hands-on in building the product, and it takes a while. It takes a long time. And implementing automation, it's a world I don't have a lot of experience in, because it's brand new to me. A lot of the products I had been building were manual tests. They're very old products that are at the end of their life cycle that won't really have automation implemented. So, brand new world.
Still needed.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the technology is needed, and so we're moving into a world of automation, and you having to continue to develop. So do you think you could do the role you are doing by just learning about automation, or do you still think you need the foundation of those skills and knowledge in apprenticeships? And I'll come to you both with that question, if that's okay.
I think you still need the foundation of the manual knowledge, because you can't run a software without the knowledge of the basics. So, because you need to be able to tell the software it needs to do this, this, and this, but you need to be able to map that out. There's quite often something that I see in design engineers. I'm a very big advocate for them going onto shop floor and actually physically making something, not just sitting in a design office working on CAD, because nothing is ever the ideal world like in CAD. It's a great tool to visualize things, but it's never going to go perfectly every single time. So it's definitely necessary to know the manual basics as well.
To help the coding and the structure of what you're doing, so the process of what they're going to go through.
I agree. The foundation of the hands-on abilities is definitely key to people growing and learning and being able to understand the automated side of it.
And even as we go into coding and so on, actually, to be able to code, your point is what is the process that needs to happen? So you can't code if you don't know the process, and then you can turn it into code. So that's really interesting. So thinking like an engineer then, so thinking about the future that you've got ahead of you, what do you think is after a bit of robotics and a bit of automation?
No idea.
No idea. I don't think any of us do we really?
No.
So what's next for you then? So we talked about what's next for you.
For me, it's the next lot of apprentices that come along, how we're going to get them through their next 4 years of learning, and hopefully they'll go off to have future careers like Matilda does.
And they'll do the mechanical and electrical routes and then move on.
Yeah, I've got a couple that are in their first year, so they're just obviously sticking with the mechanical side of it. Yeah. But they'll start to do rotations around the business so that they get exposure to other parts of it, so they see how everything works.
Do you retain your apprentices at the end of the programme and then move them on, or do you because you sound like a bit of an incubator? So how does that work?
Well, Matilda was my first official apprentice. I'd worked with a couple of others previously, but not as hands-on as I was with Matilda. And the two that I have now, they are my responsibility. And I do hope that we will retain them enough so that we can give them a few more expertise at the end of their apprenticeships. And
so it's really interesting, isn't it? It'll be really interesting to watch, because we have had lots of people staying in businesses for a long time, and then we're seeing in the industry people are moving across different engineering companies. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with the shift in automation as to whether that's sufficient to retain people.
Well, one option people have with Parker is we do have multiple sites around the world, and you could ask to transfer to one of them. We've got them in Vietnam, in America, so
and do you get a lot of people asking
anyone can ask to transfer, but yeah, people do go over.
Amazing.
You've considered it, actually, didn't you? You thought America back when you were younger.
And that's
Vietnam.
And Vietnam.
And you opted to stay here?
For now.
But it's an option for you to...
Yeah, I'd like to eventually travel and learn about different sites across the world, because it is a global organisation. But I'm comfortable for now, and I'd like to learn as much as I can from the team I'm in.
Amazing. Thank you. I think it's been really clear that actually mentoring and working together as a team really helps to get the best out of an apprenticeship. So massive thanks, and good luck next week in the awards.
Thank you.
Thank you.